we need to be really grateful tonight and get all of our questions answered because he's taking his time with us tonight for us to just openly ask whatever we want and him go into like fine detail about those questions. So
I don't know if I know everything, Pam.
You do. You know it all.
That's a bold statement.
It's true. All righty. Okay. So who has the first question? I have a million questions. So if I don't see anybody's coming up. Let's see. Okay. All right. Someone asked if you can tell your story.
There we go. I was muted, so I couldn't say. I mean, that's what I wanted to see, how you guys wanted to run this. And because you guys, I am very non-traditional when it comes to network marketing and multi-level stuff. I do things that piss a lot of people off, and they're like, you can't do it that way. And I'm like, watch me. This is how we do this. And when it comes to trainings and stuff, guys, I would much rather have it be led by you, right? Like, why? I mean, I can teach and I can train and I can show you guys, you know, all sorts of stuff, but why don't you have me train you exactly what you want to be trained on? You know? So that's why I want to do it this way. And I hope that's okay. And we can get into more specialized stuff down the road whenever you guys want to do it. But I can absolutely tell my story. I know, you know, I haven't had the pleasure with working with a lot of you guys. I have with some of you, but I don't even think we've really done a lot of Zooms and stuff. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Kyle Helm, and I am a 34-year-old psychologically unemployable retired rock and roll drummer from California. And I know that's kind of a mouthful, but I used to play drums professionally for a living. It's the only job that I've ever had in my entire life. It's the only thing. I went to school. I was going to be a stockbroker. Actually, I was going to be a commodities broker. Like, I love numbers, and it was just my brain. Have any of you guys seen that movie, Boiler Room? You guys remember that movie? Like, when I saw that movie when I was a kid, I'm like, that's it. Like, that's what I want to do. So I set down this path. I was going to be a stockbroker, commodities broker. And then I had this conversation with my wife's aunt, who was a big time commodities broker for Smith and Barney. And she's like, you know, it's the greatest thing in the world. And we're talking, this lady makes millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. And she said, what I do is the greatest thing in the world, because no matter what, I win. I'm like, what do you mean? And I'm like right in the middle of college, right? And she says, you know, whether somebody wins or loses in a trade, I always win. And I'm like, wow, like, I want nothing to do with this. Like, I can't imagine somebody dumping everything they have into this, you know, whatever I'm selling, essentially, right? Getting them to buy. And then if they lose, I still make money. I'm like, this is garbage. So I'm out. So I said, you know what? All I want to do is play music. I've been playing drums since I was 7 years old. I'm just going to go play drums. And that's what I did. I flew all over the world, played in a ton of different bands, played with some really, really big people, played with some small people, had a good time doing it. But what I haven't told you guys yet is I'm married and I have 4 beautiful daughters that I love more than the sun, moon, and the stars. And I was gone 275 days a year. Like, 275 days a year was my average. I flew out on a Thursday, I red-eyed home on a Sunday, and I missed everything. Like, when I say I missed it, birthdays, Thanksgivings, Christmases, first steps, like everything. And I think a lot of us are parents, and some of us anyway. And I mean, if you can imagine, like, it was kind of a cool gig at first, you know, because I flew out and I played a few shows and I would go home, and then it came to this thing where some of you guys have, you know about the economy kind of taking its turn in 2008. Well, it caught up to the music industry in 2010, and we couldn't afford to fly. Like, that was what it boiled down to, is we could afford to fly out and then we'd have to tour for a month and then come back home. And that was hard. I was okay with 3 or 4 days gone and then home for 3 or 4 days and then gone for 3 or 4 days. But when it started getting 30, 60, 90 days, you know, because we couldn't afford to fly as much to make the same amount of money, that's when I checked out. And I did this tour, guys. This is very, very crucial in my story. I did a tour from LA to Richmond, Virginia. It was 21 days, and I flew home. And my youngest daughter at the time came running to me at the airport. And I'll never forget this moment. It's like I relive it every day when I tell this part of my story. She came running to me and I fell on my knees and I started crying because I had just missed her first birthday and I missed all of her first steps. When I left, she was crawling and now she came running to me. And I said, I don't care what I have to do to never leave my kids again. Like, as long as I don't have to get a job. That was kind of the caveat. Like, I had never had a job. Like, obviously I was willing to do whatever, but I mean, my options were rob a bank or win the lottery. Like, that's really what I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was open to it. I just wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. You know, my wife was a stay-at-home mom and I wanted to be there. So call it what you want, right? You can call it a coincidence. You can believe in coincidences. Call it whatever you want. But about an hour later, I got a phone call from my dad. And my dad, let me preface this phone call. He says, my dad has owned an auto body and paint shop for 50 years, right? So this is what he does. He fixes cars, custom paints cars, builds cars. I used to work for him in high school and in college and all sorts of things. So he calls me and he says, I signed you up in my business. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Dad? Like, I worked for you for, like, I'm not coming back. He goes, no. I'll explain this weekend when I come down. And because my dad always came and spent time with me on the weekends and the kids. And he comes down to my house and he puts this little portable DVD player in front of me. And like, not much bigger than a DVD, right? And he sits me down and he says, watch this DVD. And he said, don't say anything until it's over. I'm like, okay, Dad, you know? So he pushes play on this DVD and I sit there through 26 minutes of the most boring presentation you've ever seen in your life. It was a slideshow and this monotone voice right over the top of it. And it was my first real exposure to network marketing. I was 24 and I got it, right? My eyes got big. I was not like skeptical. And then I was like, holy cow, this is it. Like, I just saw the numbers. I understood it was basic business. It was business 101. I just went through business school, right? There's a company, they have a product or a service, and I could insert myself in there and refer people. And if they bought something, I got paid. It was really simple. And I got that. And I understood leverage, that if I got a couple people to do this, I got a couple people and I got paid on every single one. I'm like, why doesn't everybody do this? So I left on tour on Monday. I went to Germany for a month. Now, to date myself and maybe how old I am, I sent some messages from Germany to friends of mine through something called MySpace. You guys remember? Some of you might remember MySpace, right? I'm looking at my top 8 right here, right? And I shot messages through MySpace to some friends of mine about this. And when I came home, I had 2 paychecks and they totaled $500. One was for $200 and one was for $300. And they were Bank of America checks. And I drove down to the bank and I cashed these checks. And that was the moment I knew it was real, right? I had $500 bills in my hand and I called the manager of the band I was playing for, which was Chuck Berry at the time. Some of you know who that is. I know Shelly does. He's on here. I called the manager and I said, I quit. I said, I'm going to go build this network marketing thing. And he literally said, good luck, kid. And that was how I started in network marketing. Fast forward 10 months, it probably went exactly how you would imagine. I was 5 house payments behind. I was losing my house. I sold my cars to pay my bills. I was living on donation food boxes from a place called Western Eagle. We would buy these milk crates that were filled with food that was supposed to be to feed a family of 4 for a week. Remember, there's 6 of us, and I was buying these things for 25 bucks. That's how we were living. But I will tell you, I was as happy as could be. Like, everybody was happy because I was home. I didn't have 5 cents to my name. We burned through savings. We were selling cars, like selling everything we had, but I wasn't going to give up on network marketing, right? Because through those 10 months, I met people that were successful, people that were making, $2,000 a month or $5,000 a month, and some people that were making 15, 20. And then all of a sudden I met somebody that was, quite frankly, the polar opposite of me. And when I say that, we're talking mid-40s, suit and tie, corporate America, just super professional guy, and killing network marketing. And when I say killing, we're talking $110,000, $120,000, $130,000 a month checks. And this guy was a top 5 income earner in that company. And we clicked, like instantly clicked for some reason. Here I am, tattooed, head to toe, rock and roll drummer, can't make $5 in this company. And my new best friend is like the exact opposite of me. And he called me after, you know, getting to know each other and whatnot and kind of screwing around with this company that we were part of. He calls me and he says, hey, can you be in Florida tomorrow? And I'm like, sure, if you buy my ticket, because I'm broke. And he bought me a plane ticket and flew me out to Florida, and he sat me down, and there were 4 other people there with us. And he said, well, I won't tell you exactly what he said, but long story made short, he was inviting us to take a look at another company that nobody knew about. And it was this company that had been in business for about 7 years. They were really, really small. They were doing about 12 million a year. And he was going to launch with that company. And he was hoping that the 5 of us that were there with him would do it. Well, obviously we would. And I borrowed the money that day and got started with him. I was overdrawn in my checking account, $376. So I borrowed the money, I got started, and that is where my real story begins, because I learned how to go build a business, right? I learned how to identify the one thing that makes the comp plan go, and then just do that over and over and over. Like if there's one specific thing that makes something move and go fast, I learned how to do that. And then just do that again and again and again and again and never do anything else. And I was really coachable. So fast forward, I went from borrowing the money that day to making $21,000 my first month in that company after I hadn't made $5 in a year. And in my first 11 months, I became a top 5 income earner in that company. And over the course of 27 months, we built a team together of over 65,000 people. My team specifically, just my team, was over 35,000 people, but together, the 5 of us, 65,000 people in less than 3 years. And I will tell you that experience really opens your eyes. And obviously we went from one financial spectrum to the other, like so far away, no GPS could ever get me back there, if that makes sense, because you just, everything changes. You become somebody totally different, and you start to see the world from a different space of helping people. And it's incredible. So obviously you guys know the story. I ended up leaving that company. Otherwise I wouldn't be here today. And I left with that gentleman that I was telling you about, which you guys have probably all figured out happens to be Trey Knight, right? And we left. I'll never forget the conversation. Like, there was a lot of reasons we left. The ownership of that company was insane. And to give you guys an example, I went in and sat down with the owner. I flew out to Florida because my paycheck was just not right, right? I'm running on average 1.8 million a month in volume, just to give you guys an idea. So I said, here's my volume. You already know it to the T, 1.8 million a month. Here's my paycheck. Here's your comp plan. It doesn't work. It's not right. And the owner sits down and he looks at me and he says, young man, you're making more money than you've ever made in your life. Shut your mouth and get back to work. And 2 weeks later, I resigned for obvious reasons. That's the kind of ownership we were dealing with. Not to mention downlines becoming missing, you know, like you couldn't question anything, right? They're like, you're taboo if you question anything. And we went on a journey. Over the next few years, we tried a few different companies. We did really well at every company we were with, but unfortunately, just you guys kind of know the same story. Just everything is wrong, or there's this catch, or there's this gotcha, or there's this something, you know, or we're killing it and yet nobody can make $5. Well, that sucks. Like, especially once you get to that place, everybody should be winning. And it's not fair when we can, I can go make $50,000 a month in this company, but my friends can't make 500. That is nonsense. And we came to a point where he was done. He's like, I'm out. Like, this is the greatest industry in the world, but it is so screwed up. I'm going to go back to corporate America, and I'm going to go back to consulting. And he went consulting, and he helped out some other network marketing companies and some other stuff. And in that time frame, guys, I became the master distributor at this other little company. I just had to keep building because I didn't know any better, right? I just knew how to go build network marketing, and I was sure as heck not going to go back to playing drums again. And I definitely wasn't going to go back to being a stockbroker. And then we came to a point, and I won't get into the rest of the details, but what I will tell you is that in 2016, we kind of had this genius idea that maybe we should start our own company, because his wife told him, if you don't shut up about what's wrong with the industry and put your money where your mouth is, like, we have a problem. And he said, you're right. You know, she got tired of hearing it. I got tired of hearing it, quite frankly. And it was, you know, do something about it, or quit griping about what's wrong. And you guys know the rest of the story. Otherwise we wouldn't be on this call together, right? Like, here we are at Navan a few years later, when things actually came to fruition and our company was put together, and, you know, we've done some incredible stuff. But I will tell you that these last 10 years has been probably the most incredible time of my life. I mean, I've been from one side of the coin to the other side of the coin, from top to the bottom, in every direction you can imagine. And yeah, that's kind of like a shortened but not super short version of my story. So I don't know who asked that, but there you go. And now you guys kind of know who you're talking to a little bit better. So yeah, there we have it. Now let's dive into whatever you guys want to dive into. You guys are so quiet. Everybody's muted. I'm the only one unmuted.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. I'm like in awe because I've never heard that whole story like that either. And so now I'm kind of speechless, like a lot of other people on here are. And just when you were talking about your daughter, it just really touched me deep in my heart, because I think so many people can relate to that story. But we all on here have a story like that. There's a reason why we are doing this, and we continue to go. I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm company jumping or company hopping or whatever, but in my mind, it's not always the right vehicle for you. It's preparing you for the next thing. And I think we all can agree here that God is aligning everything, what seems like so perfectly here. Like, there's just like, we have the best of every single world here. And it's like every day we get more news. It gets a little bit better and a little bit better and even more better, to the point where you're like pitching yourself saying, is this real? Because we don't have all these fake and phony people here. We have full transparency and honesty and genuineness and authenticity, and you don't find that anywhere else. And so that story just got me. I know there's more questions, so I don't want to babble on. Let me see.
No, you're good. You're absolutely good. You can babble.
What other markets are we going to tap into?
Oh, okay, that's a difficult question for me to answer. Yeah, because legally coming from the corporate side, as far as markets, guys, I don't know if you're talking specifically in regards to product markets or if you're talking regions of the world. Will we expand our company to other countries? Absolutely. Are we looking at other countries? Yes. Do we have any urgency to go anywhere? No. Like, we have this great big United States of America, and we have only a couple thousand people involved so far. So maybe, we are looking though, and we are taking the steps, so we are ready. I will tell you that when it comes to global expansion and, becoming, and obviously you could probably figure out the companies we would be looking at, things like Canada, things like Japan, Western Europe, Australia would be great, but it's kind of more of a pipe dream because of CBD regulations and things. There is a lot of talk, but nothing is set in stone, and there is zero urgency. It is not a priority for us. As far as products go, yes. Now, we're not necessarily going to diversify into more lanes, I would say. I think everything will always fall into cleanse, restore, and protect as far as the avenues. And if they really don't fit in those categories, it's probably not right for Navan. With that being said, does that mean we won't? No, right? We could go totally left field because we find something amazing. And I will tell you that right now, we do have some new things coming soon. We have some wow products. We are focusing very hard as, and I'm talking to you guys right now as corporate, not as a field distributor. We are really working hard to have that wow product, that thing that people need, because we all know our products are great, right? And you guys have all heard Trey say it a million times that in today's world of network marketing, we cannot not have good products. Like, we have to have phenomenal products. But we as a company do want that thing that goes, oh man, we need that wow product. And we know that, and we're aware of that. And I guess, the fortunate side of this for all of you, and the unfortunate side for all of you, it's like a 2-for-1 here, is that we are brand new. We are a startup. Yes, we've been vetting the company for the majority of this year, but really we started September 28th. And there's going to be a lot of good tweaks and twists. You guys know well enough that we will never do a negative change for the company. It will only be positive. The comp plan enhancements that are going to be coming, that's not taking away from anything. It's just adding more money into the comp plan. That's the kind of stuff that we will be implementing. And one thing I really want you to pay attention to and understand and know that we truly mean is that we listen. We pay attention to what you guys say. we're hearing the words and the feedback. We're not just saying, oh, that's a great idea, like whatever. No, we pay attention. We bring it to the drawing board. We meet as a corporate staff, and I don't know if you guys know this, but we're all remote over the country. None of us live in the same area. We meet multiple times a week in scheduled meetings to discuss things like your guys' input, on top of every daily operations and things that we have. So no, you will see expansion. No, you will see new products. No, there's products that could go away. There's new products that could be added, and know that if we do anything, it's because we're listening to you guys, of what you guys want and what we know we have to do for the better of you guys, never a negative thing. And that's one thing we won't ever spin to anybody, is a lot of companies have a tendency to make changes and then try and spin them for the better. But you guys, we can all read between the lines when companies do that. And I will tell you that if there is a change, it's because it's coming from you guys telling us this needs to change. So yeah, sorry, that was kind of a long-winded answer to a very small question. I'm a network marketer. I like to talk.
No, it's good. I think we all enjoy the elaboration on everything. So the next question says, if you can't get anyone to sign up, can you still make money?
Yes and no. Right? I mean, that's a true question, right? In order to be commission qualified on monthly team commissions and rank advancement bonuses, you do have to have at least 2 personally enrolled active members. That's just written in the comp plan. Even if you didn't sign anybody up, you could still make retail commissions, of course, right? If somebody did go to your website and purchase products, things like that. But if you do have an organization that grows underneath you, you will not receive the benefits of that unless you are commission qualified with at least 2 personally enrolled active members. No elaboration there.
That's really,
just to the point.
That's pretty simple. We can all get 2 people. It may not happen in one day. It may not happen in 1 week. It might take a month. But as long as you're out there and you're planting the seeds and you're doing the things and you're showing up, it's going to happen, especially here, especially with what's coming, especially being a new company. Like, we have everything working in our favor right now. So you definitely don't have to worry about that one. The next one says, what do you feel is the most important habit to have in network marketing? Do you invest?
Consistency.
And how? Huh?
Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency is the only habit anybody should ever focus on. It is the one secret to never, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's just like a bold-faced answer. The biggest mistake 99% of the people make is not being consistent with their business. The difference between somebody that goes out and earns multiple 7 figures or 6 figures or whatever in this industry, right, is because they're consistent, opposed to the person that can't make $1,000 a month. It's that simple. It is daily activity, period, end of story. Like, there is no other answer there. Like, I don't care what you're doing, you have to be in your business. What was that?
Yeah, I was just thinking that earlier today too, because you see some people come in and like right away they're like, oh, I can't do this. It's not happening for me. But then they compare themselves to Brooklyn or me or Natalie or someone that's been in the game for a while, or even you, and you can't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 100, because we all start at ground zero. We all have to start somewhere. We all build, and we've been in multiple companies. We had to build on one and move to another and grow our network. And it takes time to grow your network the right way. So
correct.
Like you said, consistency, making yourself show up every single day, utilizing all the tools that we have, the power hours, these Zooms, like, you don't have to get on every single one, but an hour, 2 hours a day, you can do a really good business.
An hour. I mean, to be honest with you, if you're putting in an hour a day in your business, legitimately putting an hour into your business a day, you're doing more than 95% of the people out there. And it's the law of diminishing intent is really what takes over if you're not consistent. I told my wife today, and I'm not even kidding you. I'm like, I really need just like one day, like 24 hours, just 24 hours just to like veg out, not work. And she's like, really? Like, you'll never do that. And I'm like, I know. Even though I'm telling her, like, I want 24 hours, I'll never do it. I won't do it. I work from the moment I get up till the moment I go to bed. Now that's not clocking in. That's not, that's responding to messages and doing the activities. That's where I'm at though. For those that have jobs in life and all sorts of other things, in order to get to that point where you don't have to do anything, you just have to be consistent. And the truth is, it's like, we've all heard the scenarios and the examples, and I'm a prime example of the example I'm going to give right now. But so about 3 years ago, I got really into fitness and working out and health, which I had never done. I had never picked up a weight in my life. I ate whatever I wanted. Who cares, right? I got maybe good genes. Like, I never gained weight or anything, like whatever, but I turned 30, right? Everybody's like, oh, when you turn 30, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Well, I turned 30 and I started to see some of these like little changes. I'm like, what in the world is happening? So I got real into fitness. Like when I get into something, I get into something. I don't mess around. Like, I'm all in or I'm not in at all. And I got into fitness for almost 3 years until August. I never missed a day. I always hit my macros. I was on point. I never missed, no matter how much I was traveling, no matter what I was doing. And I missed a day after almost 3 years. And then I'm like, oh, I'll get to it. And I got back on the saddle. And then it was like I missed a week. And then I missed 2 weeks. And here we are in December, and I haven't even got back on the saddle because it's the law of diminishing intent. Now I'm like pissed because I have to start over. Like, there was 3 years worth of work down the toilet. And it's the same with your business. You take a day and you don't do anything for your business. Nothing. It's hard to pick back up. Well, actually, it's kind of easy. But then if you miss 2 days, then it's a little harder. And then before you know it, it's 3 days or a week and you haven't done anything. It's almost impossible. Then before you know it, it's a month. Forget it. You're starting over from ground zero. So just a little bit every single day can absolutely make the difference. And it is hands down the separation between somebody that makes $100 a month and 6 figures a month. And I can tell you, because I've been on both sides, right? I know what it's like to be there, and that's why I choose to stay here. And it's just by consistency. So there's your habit.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. So the next one says, how did you grow your money mindset, and how do you help your team feel worthy of more money and success?
How did I grow my money mindset? And what?
I said, this is a really good one.
It is a good one. I'm looking over here at like my shelf of books and all this stuff. When I first got started, I obviously, like a lot of people, I read a lot of books and I listened to a lot of trainings and I did all that stuff. And I will tell you, hands down, the one thing that changed my mindset about money was The Secret. And I, maybe that's pretty, cliche, or maybe that's whatever, but I'm just being honest. The first year I was in network marketing, on my car, like the only thing I listened to for a year straight was The Secret. And The Science of Getting Rich, which, if you don't know what that is, it's literally where The Secret came from. The Science of Getting Rich. It's written in a way that's a little harder to understand because language was so much different when it was actually written. Like, it's the same English, but it's totally different. I studied those and I listened to those over and 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 over, where it became second nature to me, which taught me. I never had like a negative mindset towards money or anything, but I did notice and learn a lot of negative programming. I heard a guy once tell me, his name was Rule Morton, top earner in our industry. You guys probably made $50 million. And he said, how can you ever expand the amount of money you're making if you're worried about how much you're actually spending? Like, you have to be able to let go of it for it to come back in, because I had a very, scarcity mindset. I grew up with, my dad is very just frugal. We didn't hurt for money, but we didn't really like have a lot of money. By no means did I ever have the cool shoes or anything, like, it was just kind of like, my dad was just very, very protective of money, even though we didn't have a lot, but we didn't not have, you know what I mean? It was kind of weird. It was just very save everything. And he looks at it today and he's like, God, the biggest mistake I ever made was how I dealt with my money. He's like, it's why I have nothing today. And I go, and I had to let go of that 10 years ago. It took me a year to figure that out. And it came from The Secret and The Science of Getting Rich. And as far as my team goes, guys, that's a really big question. And I don't really know if I have an answer to that, because I am not one, and I'm going to be very honest with you, I'm not a big motivational self-development type trainer. I'm more practical, hands down. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can bust out my fair share of it, but it's never really been my avenue. So I don't particularly go down that path with my teams. I have in the past, but I think truthfully, we attract like-minded people, obviously, especially in this business. And I think that everybody that gets involved with network marketing, whether they're coached to or not, finds their way to that path. I think we all kind of just discover our path of understanding wealth and money, and we start naturally looking for things to learn and books to read and speakers to follow. And I think that's something that we all develop on our own, because nobody shoved it down my throat. I found it myself. I didn't go looking to change my mindset on money. It just happened. So hopefully that helps. It's just kind of my 2 cents on all of that. And then it's just been a learning process, to be honest with you. A lot of mistakes, a lot of not mistakes. I've done some things right and a lot of things wrong. And it's an ongoing process. I'll tell you that.
Yes. If you have not watched The Secret, watch it. I did the same thing. I kept it on replay. Like every night, all day long, if I was doing chores or cleaning or just with the kids, like it was playing in the background while I slept. It was playing in the background. So that is.
You guys want to know something crazy about that? Is last week I got to spend a lot of time with Bob Proctor from The Secret. So if you've seen The Secret, which is kind of interesting, never in a million years would I thought I would meet anybody on there. And naturally, just through building my businesses and the teams I met and the people I know, to spend some time with Bob Proctor last week, which is kind of interesting. So
that's huge.
It's crazy. It's kind of a mind thing. Like it's kind of trippy. I'm like, you changed my life.
Like I have arrived.
Yeah, it's so weird, but it's kind of cool. It was kind of neat. So
definitely something special. Okay, the next one says, how did you come up with the name Navan and the slogan, make way for the good?
The coming up with the name of Navan has nothing to do with me. That is 100% Trey and some other people in his different circle, I guess you can say. So I can't really hit on that. As far as make way for the good, that is something that Trey and I have been working with since 2015. A lot of you guys, there's a whole other piece to this story and the creation of Navan that a lot of people don't know, and that is that Trey and I were introduced to a product technology in 2015 that, it's the second half of the reason that Navan is here today. And I told you I was a master distributor at this little company out of Texas, and I enrolled a buddy of mine who was a really big leader at Organic Gold, multiple 7-figure year earner, and he calls me up one day and he says, hey, do you think Trey, and Trey was consulting for this company that I was working with. He said, do you think Trey and Mark, the owner, would be interested in a product? And I'm like, dude, they can't figure out what product they want anyway. Like, we have coffee and makeup and we have skincare and we have the bottle of juice and we have energy drink. We've got it all. Like, what is it? And he told me a little bit about this detox, this heavy metal detox, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea. So I made a phone call. I connected them, right? As in network marketing, we should all become good dot connectors. I just connected the dots. And within 24 hours, we flew the creator of this product into our office. And then within 48 hours, we signed a contract owning it, which was kind of interesting. And we knew that this product was too powerful for the company that we were involved with. So it was, hey, maybe we should do something totally left field outside of this. And we started rebranding our company, and we started rebranding what we had, and Make Way for the Good kind of was born. And obviously I told you guys we were conceptually, we wanted to start our own company in 2016 for the same exact reasons, but it was just the wrong timing. And I think we can all agree that we've all been in situations where God closes every single door and you're going up a straight, hill like this that's completely covered in ice, and you're slipping and doors won't open. And we knew it was the wrong timing. So we listened and we put it to bed. And but Make Way for the Good won't go away, because it's just clear. It came to us back in 2015. Because it's what the product does. And you guys know the product, the detox. So yeah, you guys know what it's all about.
That's what's got a lot of people, the very first product they're interested in is that detox, because you don't see it everywhere else. It's not on every corner. It's not in every store. Every company doesn't have it. It's very unique.
It is unique. And there are, real quick to hit on that, and then we can go to the next, there's a lot of people, and there's kind of an interesting dynamic with the detox, and it's just not my place to get into it, but there have been some people that have tried to move it before, and the biggest issue is they had no idea what they were dealing with, and they're talking science when it's just as simple as make way for the good, like get rid of the bad to put in the good. It's that simple. And if you keep it that simple and understand really what the stuff does anyway, it just removes all this bad crap out of your body so your body can receive good stuff. You can go blow it up with that. And we knew that. Just keep it simple and make way for the good. And obviously that applies to every aspect of our life. So, okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love it. The simpler, the better. I think in this industry, we do try to overcomplicate way too much. I know I used to overthink everything. Okay, the next thing, can you say if or what CBD products will come out next month?
I cannot. Sorry.
That was a quick one.
That's just you, Pam.
That
That's
wasn't
nobody else here. That's your own
me.
question. Guys, we have been going back and forth, Pam and I, for like 3 weeks. She's trying to get me to tell her what products we're dealing with, and I won't do it. So I got to give her a hard time.
Okay, let me see what's next. It means so much to be able to see you and talk to you, being the creator of the company, where most of these at-home jobs you never meet the creator or founder. So thank you basically for your time for doing this.
You guys are welcome. And obviously the true cake goes to Trey, I've been there since the beginning, and I've been part of this process, but if it wasn't for him, this would have never happened. But you guys, I will tell you, you're more than welcome anytime. Like you guys, I'm here. And if I can, granted, I'm running a lot of different things, but if I can get in here for you, which I usually can, I can always make time for you guys, and anything you need, just reach out. Anybody that's ever dealt with me, if you guys call me or text me or box me or whatever, I'm pretty much like on it pretty quick. So you're welcome. It's my pleasure, guys. It's what I love to do.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome that we have you, that we have this direct relationship. I think it's absolutely amazing. So the next question says, how do you implement layered leadership?
Layered leadership. Want to expand on that a little bit more?
So how do you create leaders under you that can duplicate what you're doing and not try to like run off and reinvent the wheel and, keep it simple and just, so that you don't have all the responsibility at the very top. You know what I mean?
Well, I do know exactly what you mean. And that's a very difficult question because, a lot of people, oh man, this is hard. I gotta phrase this in a politically correct way too. Biggest, I gotta watch my mouth on this one. It's really, there's 4 phases of growth, right? Like you have the build and grow, then you have, I'm not here to get in all 4 phases. The biggest mistake that a lot of people can make is getting into that king of the castle phase, right? Like they start to have a little success and managing and forgetting exactly how they got there. And I don't ever create leaders, ever. I've never created a leader. I've just taught people how to build a business. And I think leadership is developed. It's not, it's in you and it's developed. And I don't think you can create leaders. I think if you try and create a leader, well, you're just forced in a situation that may or may not happen. And how have I had thousands and thousands of people succeed in 10 years is because I taught them to do a few simple things. And I know that if I can teach you to do a few simple things and you can actually do them, then you can teach those few simple things. And that's why I've been able to succeed. That is why I've never made less than multiple 6 figures in anything I've ever done, even if I was only there for a couple months, because I identified the few simple things and I can teach that. And I can teach it in a way that isn't your typical network marketing, hip, hip, hooray, nonsense, motivational hoopla. So with that being said, leaders come from that. Now, the challenge that I think we have to face sometimes, and I will say this will be a challenge for you guys. I'm going to forewarn you because of our amazing compensation plan, is that there will be people here. There are people here already that are making a lot of money And when I say like a lot, like there are people that are making 6 figures a year now that have no freaking idea how they got there because of our comp plan. They did the requirements. They've got their 4 enrollments and they're making $8,000 a month residually. And they haven't been in network marketing for 4 months and they're clueless. And then they run a team. They're trying to run and dictate on things, how to go build, and they don't even know how it happened. That's something we have to learn to identify. And as long as we can teach the simple steps, it's never an issue here, right? Because everybody's a leader if you can just teach somebody how to do a simple thing, right? What is a leader? Like, so many people have a tendency, they care about titles and ranks, and you guys will never hear me talk about my title or my rank. I don't give two what, right? I could care less. I don't care if well, no, I'm not going to get into it. None of that crap matters. As long as I can teach Pam the one thing it takes to go build this business. And as long as I can teach Shelly, and I'm just grabbing the names I can read right here, if I can show you the one way to go build your business, the one thing you have to do, whether that was this company or whether that was another company, if you can do it and you can teach it, you're a leader. So I guess I've developed thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of leaders by doing that. And obviously they go up through the pin ranks and all that stuff doesn't matter to me, because usually the higher somebody goes, the less they do. They become lazy and, get into king of the castle mode and quit working their business. And that's an issue for me. So I know this I answered your question, but I kind of didn't answer your question, but I hope that helps. And obviously when I talk about keeping it simple and the one thing you have to do, and you guys should know this, there's only one thing you do at Navan, whether you want to be a manager or whether you want to be a Starfleet commander, like, you just run the play, right? You become a manager yourself, and then you teach those people how to become managers, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And before you know it, I promise you, if you keep duplicating that play, you will have the same story, but probably a lot better than mine, where you will be able to say, 2 years ago, I started this thing and I have 60,000 people on my team now. Well, how'd you do it? It was simple. I just taught people how to do one thing. Well, what's that? Become a manager. I just ran the play. That's how we duplicate. We find whatever that is and we just go. And that's what creates leadership. And, it's nipping people in the butt that get places by accident, that try to run the ship, that have no idea. That's the only thing we ever have to watch out for. So hopefully I said all that in a nice way.
No, that was really good. And I was going to ask, what are the simple things here? And you answered that. So I have a question. How do you recruit the best?
How do I recruit the best? I am very traditional. As all of you guys have probably seen, I have the most boring social media platform in the world, because I don't post. It's so rare I do anything. I do not use social media. Besides as a giant contact list. So I will tell you that social media is my contact list. Has it worked to my advantage? Of course, but I use it for contacts. I am very traditional. I pick up the phone and I call people. That's how I recruit the best. I pick up the damn phone, excuse my language. I have, just so you guys know, I'm like very toned down right now. I have the vocab of a highly, highly educated sailor most of the time. So, I generally, what I do, guys, is very simple. Like, I would text you, Pam, because everybody texts, right? Everybody texts today. Don't get me wrong. I'm in the same vibe. And I would say, hey, do you have 20 minutes? I need to talk to you real quick. And you either tell me yes or no. And if you tell me yes, you bet your ass you're getting a phone call from me right now, right this second. And I'm going to call you. And you already told me you have 20 minutes. And I'm going to take 20 minutes. I'm going to not take a minute less. And I won't take a minute more. And I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. That's how I recruit, guys. I as many people as I can see face to face, I will. But the reality is life is busy, and it does boil down to, for me, phone calls. I try to avoid social media. That's just me personally. I know all of you, not all of you, but the majority of you guys use social media. I personally have not, though, in that way. I'm very old school. Like, that's why I fly all around the country and get in your guys' living rooms, because I like to do home parties. People are like, you still do home parties? I'm like, yeah, that's the best part of the business. People think I'm crazy. Like, well, Zoom is so much easier. I'm like, yeah, but it's not as relatable, and it's not near as fun, and the relationships don't get built. And, like Brooklyn and Thor just living with Natalie, like, that is the most insanely rad thing I've ever seen. They're like, yeah, we're just going to go hang out with her and help her with her business. That relationship is so incredibly dynamic now. Not that it wasn't before, but that is huge, right? If I did that, I'd probably get a divorce, but you get my point. Like, if I can pop in your neck of the woods for a day or two and just get down and just work with you, and just do a couple little things here and there, and we do a couple home parties, people might think that style of building is old and antiquated, but I promise you it's not. What I think is interesting, guys, and I don't know how long you guys have been in the industry. I don't know how long you've been doing what you're doing. Some of you guys probably have more experience than I do. Some of you are newer than me, and I have watched the coolest thing happen in the world. So in 10 years that I've been doing this, I watched it go from traditional building, right, where you could post on Facebook and everybody would engage and want to sign up. Like, where it was still very one-on-one, where it was still very phone calls, where it was still coffee and house parties. Trey and I used to do, and I'm not kidding, we'd go to do a house party and there'd be people. Nobody could even get in the house because there was 300 people there. Like, not exaggerating. We did that daily. It was nuts. But where you could literally post, oh, I love my business, join me, and people would on Facebook, like crazy. But then that shifted into no more home parties, no more real meetings, and it all became social media. And it was just social media building and social media building. All the while, I kept traditional. Then what people started to realize is that nobody was really building real relationships. I mean, granted, you do meet people. Some of my best friends I met through social media. We became friends. We built a business, but now we're like homeboys, right? But most of the time, the majority of people building on social media they got enrollments. Yeah, they got customers, but they never had a real relationship with people. And it fell apart. The attrition, right? And then their businesses crumbled. And then they're like, oh my God, I was making $30,000 a month and now I make $4 because there was never a real connection there. So all of a sudden, it starts evolving back where more and more people are doing coffee meetings again. And more, you're starting to see some home parties. And I remember about 2 years ago, someone was like, dude, why are you trying to do home parties? I'm like, somebody's going to bring it back and I'm going to make it be me. And I'm not saying that I'm the reason people are doing home parties. I'm just saying nobody was doing it. And I just kept going against the grain, kept going. I'm like, it's going to come full circle. And now it's coming full circle because the big networkers, right? The people that have made millions of dollars in this industry, whether they've been in for 20 years or whether they've been in for whatever, 10 years or 5 or 2 or whatever. The point is they have all gone through those transitions. We've watched the attrition just become like super high when it became only social media. And we, don't get me wrong, we pushed it, we drove it because it was moving and it's building numbers, but we all watched the attrition just increase so much. Everybody's going, oh man, like we got to get back to what really worked. We got to get back to where it really stuck, where you did build a team that would last 10 years, and it's neat to watch it come back full circle to picking up the phone, meeting for coffee, getting in the living room. I hate hotels, but people are getting back in hotels. But so I have maintained that. I maintain very traditional, and people think I'm weird for it, but that's my favorite part is that. So hope that's a long question. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to building those genuine relationships. And when I met Brooklyn, that's one thing that stood out to me. Different. She wasn't like everybody else, just sending your friend request to ask you to join her business, because a lot of us do social media, but in like face-to-face stuff is really, really important because you can feel their energy, you can see them, like you can feel their excitement, you can hear it, like it's just a different experience. So when you tell people,
I agree.
when you explain what you're doing, what do you say to them?
Well, that's rephrase that question.
So like when you call them and you, hey, do you have 20 minutes? And they're like, sure. And you call, then what do you say?
Okay, that's a really bold question, and that is probably the hardest question for me to ever answer, because I am I every single person I talk to, it's different. And that's just how it is. I will say though that I always put myself in this mindset of, if I was the other side of that phone call, what would I want to hear? And the reason I do that is really simple. People are people, statistics are statistics, numbers are numbers. It's just like people when they're like, oh, everybody in my town is broke. Well, guess what? So is everybody else. That's not stopping all these people from joining my business. So shut up. Like, statistics are statistics, right? But what I do understand and do know is this: the people that we generally will call that are our acquaintances, semi-warm market, regular warm market. I do not deal with cold market, just so you guys know. I've never burned through my contact list in 10 years, just so we know, and it's not even very big. I just don't burn through it. They will generally be attracted to what you're attracted to. They will genuinely or generally be interested and like the same things you like. Not 100%, but there's a really good chance that if Thor wants a purple Lamborghini, his buddy wants a purple or a green Lamborghini. Like, there's a really good chance of that, right? And that's a joke, bad joke, but you kind of get the picture. So when I put myself in a situation of what would I want to hear, I know that my hot buttons, and I try to share those hot buttons. Now, generally, I always tell somebody why I'm doing this. I always tell them my story to some extent, unless I really, really know them. I will paraphrase things, but there are some very hot buttons that I make sure I hit every single time. And it's the fact that, listen, Pam, like, I don't know what your stance is on network marketing or multi-level marketing or those pyramid scheme things, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. But as you know, right, everybody wants to be in the beginning and everybody wants to be at the top. And that's why I'm calling you. I launched a company. My involvement is quite a bit different. I've been doing this for the last 10 years, or maybe you don't. I don't really know. I know we're friends on Facebook, and we haven't really caught up in 10 years. But listen, dude, or gal, or whatever I would call you, right? Like I get right into the hot buttons of, we all know that the majority of people say you have to be at the top and you have to be at the beginning to make any money. That's everybody's objection, right? If they're anti-network marketing, even though we all know you can come in 5 years from now and make $1 bajillion. But those two things right there are generally enough to get somebody to turn their attention to you and pay attention. And, it's hard to pitch a comp plan and it's hard to pitch a product. There's things I've never done. But then I tell this story, and I tell my story that, Pam, that I was touring all around and I got involved in network marketing because I just wanted to be home with my kids. And, over the last few years, I've worked with some pretty incredible people. And I don't know if you've ever heard me mention that guy, Trey, and, he's been my business partner. And then I continue telling the story is where I'm going from, or where I'm going to here. But always making sure I hit those hot buttons, I guess you can say, and understanding that too much can obviously always will talk somebody out of the business. So that's a really fine line. And I think we live in a world today that nobody wants to be pitched and nobody wants to be sold. And we all know that. And yet our job is to pitch and sell, which makes it tricky, right? So in my opinion, the only way you cannot pitch and sell is by telling your story. And everybody has a story. And I talk about it all the time. What was your life like before? What is your life like? Or, what was your life like before? Like, why did you get started in this? And what is your life like now? Or where are you going? Because you might not have a story yet here with Navan specifically, but where are you going, right? And it kind of branches me into another thing. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of run with it. And I know we're getting late, guys. I'm sorry. But when I got started, right, you guys know the first year, basically, I failed. Like, I failed as bad as I actually owed that company money. The comp plan, if people joined you and quit within 60 days, you owed them that money back. And unfortunately, it was a lot of money. I owed that company $3,500 before I ever saw a dollar. Let's just say that. I had nothing. But one thing that I understood was that, okay, we can never lie in our industry. It's not a fake it till you make it nonsense thing. A lot of people do. We all know that, right? So I can't lie, which I wouldn't, but I have nothing to prove. The only thing I have is my belief. Like, I believe. And I said, okay, well, if I believe and that's all I got, and I have a story and that's all I can tell, how am I going to tell it? And if you think about this, am I going to tell it as the 24-year-old rock and roll drummer that has made a couple $1,000s total in network marketing? Or am I going to tell it as the 24-year-old that knows I'm going to make millions of dollars in this industry? And I literally put myself in a act as if type mode. And I acted as if I was a 7-figure earner. That it was that simple. You know, I listened to the things people that were making 7 figures said in my company. I listened to the exact verbiage they used. You know, I would copy their presentations to the T. Like, your kids now became my kids. Like, your stories were now my stories. Like, I would screw up words that they would screw up. And I realized it was intentional, right? 99% of people out there don't understand that I have a degree in business economics. What do they know? I'm the dumb rock and roll drummer. And there's a reason that I'm that way, because it's relatable. Of course, if I told somebody I went to business school, they're like, well, yeah, that makes sense why you succeeded. No, it has nothing to do with it, but it changes the perception. But yet, when they just think of a dumb rock and roll drummer, and if he can do it, I can do it. That's the truth, right? So when I listen to these people, these people that were absolutely crushing it, I just copied what they did. And I intentionally would say words wrong, and I would intentionally just screw up, and I would intentionally make a bad joke. I would intentionally do what they did. So I put myself in this moment of saying, and I still do it, guys. I still do it. I acted as I was already the person there without saying I was the person there, right? I never lied about that. I believed, and that was all I had, and I had a story to tell. So I told my story as if I was a 7-figure earner already, right? Making 6 figures a month. So my posture became extremely strong, extremely fast. That was the shift for me, right? When I couldn't make network marketing work, I realized it was just my posture. You can overcome any question, right? Any question somebody says with the right posture. I mean, you guys, biggest question I get all the time is, no, you know, I'm not even going to tell you guys. It's bad. My responses to people are to break the walls down.
You have to tell.
Okay, well, okay. How many of you guys say, well, how much money are you making? Do you ever get that question? Well, how much money have you made? Do you want to know what I tell everybody every time? I'd be like, tell me everybody you've slept with. And they go, what? No, I can't. That's personal. I'm like, so is how much money I make. None of your business. Like, throw them off. Have a strong posture. Break the ice. They shut up. They don't care. They don't care about stuff like that. Figure out ways to just break down their barriers. And I've told you I'm very unorthodox and I do things very weird. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. It's just, think about that. Break down their barriers. Have strong posture. Be confident about it. That's all. You know, or another way I used to answer that question before I decided to take it to another level was, you know, how much money do you make? And I'd say it doesn't matter because you wouldn't believe me anyway, which is true. Like, if I told them I make $10 a month, they wouldn't believe me. If I told them I made 150 grand last month, well, they're not going to believe me. So who cares? It's just figuring out how to be very confident in every single thing you say. It doesn't matter if it's a joke. Doesn't matter if it's overcoming an objection, or it doesn't matter if you're telling your story. It doesn't matter if you're talking about your company or your product. I don't care if their product is better than mine. I promise you I will deliver it better. I don't care if their comp plan pays more than mine, which we all know that that's impossible. But if it does, I promise you mine will still be delivered better and you will want my comp plan. It's just because you figure out my posture has to be extremely strong. I can't be weak in what I do. I can't lack confidence. And the second I did that, I made $21,000 that first month. Want to know something funny? As I only enrolled 6 people that first month too. 6 people, $21,000. How did I do it? Because I taught them the one thing to make it go. I taught them how to make their money back.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Are you on a time frame? Do you need to go?
No, I'm good. I for your guys' time's sake, I feel bad because it's been almost an hour.
Well,
so
we have a power hour, but I want to get this last question. And it says, what are your thoughts on focusing primarily on other MLM prospects versus those in your network who have large influence outside of MLM?
Good question. If you want my honest answer, I'd say focus on people. Like
So
you're gonna laugh at me. I don't care if somebody's built a huge organization. You know what? Because every single and I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, every big networker I enrolled does nothing. Never. They never build, ever. They whine and they gripe and they complain and this is but when I enroll somebody that's never done this damn thing before, they kill it every time because they're excited. They don't have baggage. So my focus is on people. That doesn't mean all big networkers and all people that have built teams won't build. I'm just saying, for an example, the majority of the time I focus on trying to get other leaders and other people that have influence in this industry. It's a waste of my time when I could go sign up 3 buddies that have never done this before and they dominate every single time. Because you got to remember, at one point in time, every big networker was a non-networker. Like, we all started from the same spot of never doing this. You're going to find the people that are going to do it, whether they've already done it or not. So my thing, guys, you have a gift. You have the most incredible thing on the face of network marketing. Go share it with everybody. I mean, yeah, it's great when people have influence. Of course that can help, but generally it'll work against you if they're not willing to use their influence as well. So that's one side of it. The other side is people that have built big teams. Find the people in the middle. Get it to everybody. Hopefully that kind of answers your question. That's just my opinion on it. Doesn't mean it's right.
No,
I will tell you this too,
good.
is that everything I've told you guys comes from experience, not because I read it out of a book. And just because I said it doesn't mean it's right. And I have zero ego when it comes to training and when it comes to building a business. Just because I told it to you does not mean it's the only way. Does not mean it will work for you. And I say that with all the humility in the world, because listen, I spent time with some of the best in the world and everything they told me did not work. And I believe that was the only way. And I'm not an egotistical guy where, listen, if what I tell you, you tell me it doesn't work for you, I don't care. Fine. Let's get you connected to someone that maybe their information will help. So just because I said it doesn't mean it's the absolute only way. It's just my opinion of what has worked and what hasn't worked for me. That's all I will ever share with you guys. I promise you. I will never tell you an idea that has or hasn't worked for me, and I will tell you one way or the other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that, because I think that's one thing all of us here think is there's not just one way to do it. There's so many different ways because we're all individual. We all eat different. We all feel different, and so it's finding those people, like you said, to connect the dots so that you can get that way that works best for you. So to end this, what would be your best or biggest tip for what do they need to be doing right now?
Say less to more faster.
And how do you do that?
Exactly what I said. You got to say less to more people faster. You got to quit worrying about the one and keep moving on. Keep moving. Just stay in motion. We all know December is a hard month. Doesn't mean you guys aren't killing it this month, because you are, right? Actually, we were talking about that this morning as a company. Like, it's actually pretty surprising where we're at this far in the month in December. We're like, numbers are off a little, but really not off, which is crazy for December. Everybody knows what happens in December. And I want you guys to think of, you're doing well, but if you were putting in this much work in like anytime next year, you guys would be doing triple as well. So what you need to stay focused on is keep doing exactly what you're doing, but just do more of it. Say less to more faster, move faster, believe a little bit bigger, because I promise you, for those of you that really haven't maybe built, pretty substantial networks yet, maybe some of you have, I know some of you have, but some of you are newer. What you're doing right now, realistically towards the end of January into February will change your life. What you're doing right now, because the action that you're putting in, I'm telling you right now, it will pick up and catch on towards the end of January and really into February, and will change your life. Because what you're doing right now will affect your business 60 to 90 days from now. And what you are not doing right now will affect your business 60 to 90 days from now. That is probably the most true thing I've ever learned in this industry, especially in the month of December. Now you guys have movement and your business is growing in December. You're going to fly into January and February into next year. So just keep doing what you're doing. Just stay focused, be consistent, and say less to more faster.
Yes, thank you so much for doing this. We really all like collectively appreciate it. I know I should have been writing down a bunch of notes the entire time because that was a lot of great information. And we'll have the replay for anyone who wants to rewatch it. We'll get that up, and hopefully we can do another one of these soon because
Absolutely.
we could just get a long list of questions for you.
I am, just so you guys know, and I know you guys have you guys got to go power hour. I am starting a series of calls too that I'm going to open up to everybody that I kind of been testing a little bit, but I have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday early morning call that will be a general like team call / hip hooray / recognition. Wednesday will be product call, and Friday will be comp plan call. Some of them will be very redundant. We only have 9 products, so 1 product per week type thing, focus in, hone in on training, compensation plan training. Primarily, it's an overview of the comp plan. It would be great for new people. And then the Mondays, like I said, hip hooray, recognition, news, things like that, team call. I will get you guys that info, and you're more than welcome to start plugging into that when it becomes an actual system here in the next few weeks. You guys are more than happy to, but privately like this, anytime, guys. Just let me know when.
Thank you. So you'll just roll out the information for the calls.
Yeah. I'll shoot it to you guys in the threads and all that stuff.
Okay, perfect. So, thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys.
Awesome. Have a good night.
Have a good evening. All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.